Hey, Trajectory team, this is the second video of three on those three M's. The first one, of course, was memories and remembering those teachers that were so wonderful in your life, and remembering so much about school and why it is you became a teacher. But look, here's the thing. The second M is called marble. Remember marble, not marbles, as in you've lost your marbles, but marble, the actual stone marble. And I want to talk about that just for a second, but let me finish up the last video just for a second and say this. The human mind is so exciting, and there's a lot of things we don't know about it even now, as much as it's been studied. But we certainly we just look into the study of the mind. We would find that there are things that they still can't quite explain. The fact that we can go back in time and create movies in our mind of things that happened. And here's the thing, even if those things didn't actually happen and we thought they did or we perceived them to, sometimes those films can come up like that and it really wasn't the case, or we didn't understand the full picture. But another thing the mind can do that is so amazing is we can create memories for the future, as I would call it, memories for the future, in the sense that what we can do is we can say, I can put a film in here of what I would like things to be and what I'd like to work toward and what I'd like for me to be, be healthy. And I'd like to, I could picture myself, in a few years from now having grandchildren and be excited playing with them. And I can tell you that it's just, it fires me up to think about things like that, and where we can still go, that life's not over, that we can still proceed with getting better and getting better. And folks, your mind and the ability to do that, that's what you're going to have to wake up to every day and say, I am going to be determined. Now, when you get into those schools and those kids are coming in your room, what you're dealing with, and I know you hear an awful lot of this and it almost seems cliche, you hear the clay that you're molding and all kind of thing, but it's more like marble in the sense that you're going to have to hit a little hard sometimes on some things. When chiseling, if marble could actually feel pain, it would be hollering a bunch, because what has to happen is very sharp tools are pounded into the side. When I was a brick mason, I had a hammer that on one end of it was a very sharp edge, not like a regular hammer. Although a claw hammer has a sharp edge on the curved part, this one would come straight out and had a sharp end on it, so you could cut brick and cut rock and cut around, cut block and things with that hammer. Listen, that's what's going to have to happen to some of these children. But here's the thing. You can see things inside of that child that other people can't. You may even see things that that parent can't see, because you're going to see them for, you're going to see them for straight out 8 hours a day. If you're in the younger grades, you're going to see them multiple times a day. If you're in the older grades, and you're going to recognize something in them, maybe you saw in yourself when you're younger, you're going to be able to recognize something in them, and you're going to say, listen, I need to start chiseling that out. It's going to be tough. It's going to drain you, folks. You've got to realize it's going to drain you. This is a tiring job. Yes, you have time off, and thank God for that, but it's going to be zapping, okay? And when you go in there to chisel away at these children, it's going to, sometimes they're not going to be happy about it, but they're going to need it, and you're going to see something. You're going to see that person they can be, and you're going to begin to chisel away, just like God does with us. God takes us, and sometimes it's a very painful process, and that He chisels away all the garbage off of us and tries to make us more like His Son Jesus Christ. Here's the thing. You have an opportunity to go inside that child, take that stone and begin to chisel away and see what's inside of it. There's an old story, and whether or not it's true, I do not know, but it's a story about Michelangelo, and it's widespread story, but this is how it goes. He's once walking through a store, and this particular type of outdoor store thing, and he goes inside of it and goes around, starts walking around. There's different stones in there. And he begins to stare at this one piece of marble. And as he's staring at it, he walks around it really slow and checks out every angle and looks at every piece of it. And as he's looking at every piece, every corner of it rather, but as he's looking at every corner of it, he decides he's going to purchase it. Sure enough, he walks up to the person who's trying to sell it, and he says to him, look, I'd like to buy this piece of marble. The guy behind the table there, he said, you don't want that piece of marble. That piece of marble is flawed in so many ways. There's no way that somebody like you and with your ability would want this piece of marble. Surely you want this one over here. Michelangelo looked at it and said, I want this piece of marble. I can see an angel inside of it, and I need to set it free. You see, the artist can see things in pieces of material, whether it's wood, marble, stone, whether it's painting, whether it's canvas, can see the painting on the canvas. But in Michelangelo's case, what he could see was the angel he was going to chisel out of there. And it was almost like it was trapped inside of that marble, and he wanted to get it released. And that was almost how he looked at it when he was doing it. He was almost like chiseling away at maybe a prison it was in. When you have a child in front of you, any child in front of you, I was there, folks. I'm telling you, I was there to be able to take that child and say, I'm going to begin to mold them. And yes, every teacher would have some type of influence, negative or positive. And when we talk about trajectory and the whole idea behind trajectory, what we're saying is, so even with your positive hit, if they get enough negative hits, it's going to send them off in the wrong direction. So it's our job, each person that comes in contact with another person, your words matter. What you say to them matters. How you encourage them matters. And folks, I fail at this all the time. I certainly try to encourage everybody I come around, but there are times when I fail at that, and we all do. But it needs to be a general consensus amongst teachers and preachers and anybody in any field that what we're going to do is we're going to help them, and we're going to encourage them, and we're going to work with them to make them something that they couldn't see in themselves. But here's the thing I want to say to you. In addition to all of that, you got to make deposits into them, and some of that's the chiseling, but you got to make deposits into yourself. That's right. You've got to make deposits into yourself. And that's a little bit of growth in your own. That's going to be a little painful for you too, because you're already waxed and tired. But you need to be listening to things that encourage you. And look, that doesn't mean you need to go somewhere that all they ever do is, happy clappy and just tell you everything's perfect. No. You need good encouragement. You need encouragement in the sense that sometimes, like a coach would encourage, sometimes, listen, you've got to get going, kind of encouragement. And listen, you can't be lazy, you can't do this, those things are fine too. But you have to say, I'm going to help myself too. I'm not just gonna put into everybody else. I'm gonna make sure that I'm fed back. As a pastor, many times I preach and I teach and I preach and I teach and I preach and I teach. Very seldom do I get an opportunity to sit back and be fed. And to get good teaching and such. And so what I want to do, with that is I want to make sure that I'm listening to sermons outside of my own church. And I need to make sure that I'm listening, that I'm studying hard and for my sermons and things, and learning and getting fed and getting the rest I need. You need to make sure you're doing the same. Learn about education, learn about the new innovations, learn about how new teaching methods and all of that. You need to be fired up about what it is you're doing, but you need to be depositing in yourself self-development. More classes, take some more classes, do whatever you got to do to become that much better at your craft. You're going to want to know more. And a lot of people poo-poo on seminary and stuff, and I get that, for a number of reasons. But at the same time, if I'm going to better myself, I need to study even more and learn from different people, and learn from these professors that have knowledge where I have not been. Learn from those websites that are clearly what I need to be learning from. In your case, in education, learning from sites that are teaching you how to do this better, or how to touch on a child better, or how to grab this one, the differentiated instruction, and how to be able to teach this one and this one over here, even though they're two different teaching methods, and trying to keep up with all that. You need to be feeding into yourself that way, but also by feeding into yourself and self-development, it means good rest, good exercise, taking care of yourself. All of those things you're gonna have a necessity to do. So while you're building into these children, while you're helping these children, while you're chiseling yourself, if you will, you have an opportunity to go in ready to chisel and help these other kids. Remember memories. Remember everything that made you want to become a teacher. Thank God for great teachers. Thank God for those that, the ones that would stand on the desk, or the ones that would come in dressed up all crazy and in character for the thing that they were going to do that day. And even in mathematics, where there's not a lot of creativity involved, those teachers who were so inspiring as a result of what they had learned, that they wanted you to learn it too. That's what you want to be. You want to be that kind of teacher who's ready to go in there and chisel and get something out of these children. And there are some that are going to keep bucking you and keep bucking you and keep bucking you, but you might be able to grab one or two of them. You might be able to grab one or two of them, but I'm going to tell you this. I know teachers who have grabbed hundreds of kids in their careers, hundreds of kids in their careers, not thousands, because thousands went through there, but hundreds who grabbed on. Please, what you have to do is you have to teach them to love learning. Oh my goodness, I have learned so much more after all school and college and seminary. I've learned so much after that than I did in it, because they taught me to love to learn. If you teach a child to love to learn, why are you chiseling them? You're chiseling them. But they're not going to be complete when they finish high school. They're not going to be completely chiseled when they finish college. They won't be completely chiseled till they meet their maker. But you've done a great part in that chiseling and making them what they ought to be. You've done your part of maybe the arm, or you did the leg, or you did the head, or you did something like that. You were a part of all that, and you ought to be excited. You ought to be fired up about that. You ought to know that you had a part in all of that. Oh, I'm telling you, be excited about chiseling away at those children, because I'm an example of what it is to be in love with learning. To be in love with learning. And I don't want to stop learning. Until the day I take my last breath, I hope I'm still learning new things. And I hope I'm still willing to listen to folks who say, hey, there might be a better way. I hope I still have an open mind, and I hope you do too. Thank God for teachers. Thank God for what you do. And keep chiseling. Remember, memories and marble. And the next thing we're going to talk about is coming up in the next video. See ya.